From the very beginning, your heart knew there was someone meant for you. Maybe you couldn't explain it or prove it, but deep down, something inside of you whispered that your journey wasn't just about healing yourself. It was also about preparing to meet someone who mirrors the same depth, the same light, and the same divine alignment. When God begins to guide you to the one, the path often becomes clearer, not always easier, but undeniably more spiritually significant. These moments aren't just coincidences. They're part of a greater unfolding, one that reveals love in its highest, most sacred form. Before we go deeper, I invite you to stay with this video until the end, because what we're about to explore may reflect exactly what your soul has been trying to tell you. And if this message resonates, write your warmest wishes and 77 in the comments. Let's amplify the vibration of love together. When you speak your desires aloud, the universe responds. This is more than a message. It's a moment of alignment. Wishes come true when hearts are open and intentions are pure. Now let's explore what it means when God begins to guide you to the one. One of the first signs is a sudden shift in your energy. You might notice you've become more introspective, more intentional, or even more protective of your peace. This isn't by accident. When divine love is approaching, your spirit begins to cleanse and recalibrate. The chaos you once tolerated now feels foreign. The people who drained you begin to fade. You start to say no without guilt and yes without fear. This energetic refinement is God's way of preparing your inner space for someone whose presence is meant to nourish your soul, not deplete it. NNTHE second sign is a feeling of deep spiritual prompting. Not the loud kind that shouts in your ear, but the gentle nudging that speaks in stillness. You might start noticing recurring dreams, hearing certain names, or feeling inexplicably drawn to specific places or actions. It's almost as if your spirit is on a treasure hunt with divine clues. This guidance comes through intuition, timing, and synchronicity. You may randomly decide to go somewhere and cross paths with someone who ends up playing a pivotal role in your story. These are not ordinary moments. These are divine alignments steering you toward the person your soul already knows. NNTHE third sign is healing in disguise. Just before the connection manifests, many are led through a final, intense chapter of emotional release. Old patterns resurface, wounds reopen, and fears become louder. This isn't regression, it's preparation. God knows that love on this level cannot be sustained with lingering trauma or unprocessed pain. You are being emptied so you can be filled with something that matches your new vibration. You're not being punished, you're being purified. And often, the deeper the wound, the more sacred the bond that follows. NNTHE fourth sign is clarity through solitude. When you're close to meeting the one, God often pulls you into a quiet season. Friendships may feel distant, distractions fade, and you find yourself spending more time alone than ever before. But in this silence, clarity is born. You begin to recognize what matters and what never did. You shed illusions and finally see yourself, not through the lens of insecurity or comparison, but through truth. And in seeing yourself clearly, you begin to attract someone who sees you the same way. This sacred solitude is not loneliness. It's divine intimacy with yourself. And that's the soil from which divine love grows. And THE fifth sign is spiritual courage. You begin to take steps you would have once been too afraid to take. You leave situations that no longer serve you. You invest in your growth. You stop settling. Your standards rise, not out of pride, but because your soul remembers its worth. And every act of self-honor sends a signal to the universe. I am ready. When you walk in alignment, you stop chasing and start attracting. You stop begging for attention and start radiating presence. This transformation isn't just attractive, it's magnetic, and the one meant for you will feel your shift before they even meet you. These 5 signs are more than markers, they're invitations. God doesn't want you to wait idly for love. He wants you to become love. He wants you to trust the process, even when it feels uncertain. And He wants you to prepare your heart not just for another person, but for a divine partnership that reflects heaven's intention. And as you move forward, remember, divine timing is never rushed. The one meant for you is being prepared just as you are. They may not know your name yet, but their soul already recognizes yours. Their journey is being shaped by the same divine hands shaping yours. And when the moment arrives, it won't just be about falling in love. It will be about stepping into purpose, together. You won't have to force it. You won't have to beg for it. It will flow. It will align. And it will feel like home. Because when God guides you to the one, He also prepares you to receive them with grace, wisdom, and unwavering faith. NTHE journey to finding the one is rarely linear. It's not a simple checklist of compatibility or attraction. It's a spiritual evolution that unfolds through time, through trials, and through transformation. When God is involved, He doesn't just pair people together based on surface qualities. He orchestrates encounters that reflect divine timing, purpose, and soul-deep connection. And as you begin to notice these signs, you also start to realize that the person you're meant for is not just someone you meet. They are someone you align with. NNTHE, alignment isn't only about shared interests or synchronized routines. It's about shared values, shared healing, and shared purpose. This person won't just get you. They will see into you, past the masks, past the fears, and into the very essence of your being. But here's the thing. In order for someone to truly see you, you must be willing to see yourself. That's why the preparation season is so sacred. It's not about waiting around for a miracle. It's about becoming the version of you that is ready to receive one. Sometimes, this process can feel like spiritual surgery. You're being asked to let go of relationships that once felt like home. You're being stretched beyond your comfort zones. You're being called to forgive, even when there's no apology. And all of it can feel painful and unfair, until you realize it's part of a divine setup. God is not ignoring your prayers. He's rearranging your life to make room for them to be answered. There's also something important to understand. Divine love does not arrive to rescue you from your loneliness. It arrives to meet you in your wholeness. That means the version of you that tries to fill a void will not attract the one God has chosen for you. It's the version of you that chooses peace over chaos, alignment over attachment, and self-worth over self-sacrifice that will be in the right position to receive. And when that alignment begins to happen, you'll feel it in your soul. Your body may not understand it. Your mind may try to rationalize it. But your spirit will know. It will recognize the energy. It will feel like an echo, like a voice you've heard in your dreams finally manifesting in your reality. There will be calm in their presence, even when life is chaotic. There will be safety in their silence, even when words aren't spoken. There will be recognition in their eyes, like they've known you across timelines and dimensions. This is what divine connection feels like. Not rushed, not forced, but divinely timed. And yet, it requires your participation. You are not a passive character in this story. You are an active co-creator with the divine. Every time you choose healing over distraction, you're signaling your readiness. Every time you say no to something that drains you, you're making space for something that will elevate you. Some people may not understand your transformation. They might say you've changed, become too picky, too distant, or too intense. But that's okay. They weren't meant to go where you're headed. When God is guiding you to the one, He often removes those who cannot walk with you into that next chapter. And while that can feel like rejection, it's actually protection. God is preserving your energy for someone who will not misuse it. You may also begin to experience strange moments of peace in the midst of the unknown. You'll stop feeling the need to chase or control outcomes. You'll start trusting that the love you're seeking is already on its way. And in that trust, you'll feel free. Not because everything makes sense, but because your soul knows it's on the right path. There might also be moments when doubt creeps in. When you question if this love will ever arrive. When you wonder if your standards are too high, your heart too guarded, or your past too complicated. But don't let those voices distract you. You're not being difficult. You're being refined. Your heart isn't broken. It's being softened. Your journey isn't slow. It's sacred. And the more you trust this process, the more signs you'll receive. Maybe it's a recurring number, a phrase you keep hearing, or a dream you can't forget. Maybe it's a conversation with a stranger that feels oddly familiar. Or maybe it's just the sense that something is coming, something meaningful, something aligned, something divine. Hold on to that. Let it guide you. Let it be the fuel that keeps you walking even when the road feels long. Because you're not walking alone. Every step is being watched over, every delay is being used for preparation, and every tear you've cried is watering the garden of your destiny. God's timing may not match your own, but His plan is never late. And when the person you've been praying for finally appears, it won't just be a romantic moment. It will be a spiritual awakening, a homecoming, a divine confirmation that all the signs, all the waiting, and all the growth had a purpose. And the best part? You'll know, without a doubt. You won't have to question it. Because when it's God ordained, it carries a peace that surpasses logic, a joy that exceeds expectations, and a purpose that redefines everything. Sometimes the most undeniable signs from God come in the quietest moments, not through loud revelations or flashing lights, but in the stillness of your spirit, when something inside you begins to shift. You may find yourself waking up differently, thinking more deeply, walking away from things that used to excite you but now feel heavy. This is divine refinement at work. God is clearing your life of the unnecessary, not because you're being punished, but because something sacred is coming, and it needs space. You are not being abandoned, you're being aligned, and often, that alignment requires solitude. You may be in a season where it feels like no one truly understands you, where your phone is quiet, and your days are filled with inner reflection. This isn't an accident. God often isolates you before elevation. He wants your full attention, so you can hear Him clearly, so you can be shaped without distraction, so you can notice the whispers that are meant for your soul alone. These are the whispers that lead you to the one, because when your spirit is attuned, even the softest sign becomes unmistakable. NNBUT. Many people miss these signs because they're rushing to heal, rushing to love, rushing to be chosen. In that rush, they overlook the lessons, the clues, the divine breadcrumbs. Slowing down isn't a setback, it's spiritual strategy. The slower you move with intention, the more precisely you see what's real and what's simply a distraction in disguise. This discernment is key, because not everything good is God sent. Some people show up with beautiful words, but carry confusion in their energy. Others seem right on paper, but feel wrong in your gut. That feeling, that hesitation, that's your spiritual discernment, and it's one of the strongest tools you'll have on this journey. God's guidance often shows up in what doesn't feel right. Not every sign is a green light. Sometimes the one is revealed by showing you who isn't. The person who doesn't value your heart. The one who drains your peace. The one who tests your worth instead of honoring it. When they fall away, it's not a failure, it's clarity. Don't mourn the disconnections that lead you closer to truth. You're not losing anything vital. You're gaining wisdom, strength, and room for something truly aligned. Another powerful sign that God is guiding you is how your heart begins to soften again. Maybe you've been guarded for so long, numb to love, skeptical of anyone who tries to get close. But then something inside you begins to thaw, not because of a specific person, but because of a quiet knowing that love is possible again. You start to believe again, to open again, to dream again. This is healing in action. This is your soul whispering, "I'm ready." And readiness doesn't always look like perfection. Sometimes it's messy. It's crying yourself to sleep and still choosing to get up with hope. It's being afraid and still saying yes to life. It's not about being completely healed. It's about being open to healing together. Divine unions aren't about two perfect people. They're about two willing souls committed to growing, learning, and becoming together. And you'll also start noticing alignment in unexpected places. You'll meet someone new and realize you've crossed paths before. You'll hear a phrase that mirrors your thoughts. You'll see signs, numbers, names, symbols that echo your inner world. This isn't coincidence. It's divine conversation. God is always speaking, but when your heart is open, you start to listen in new ways. You begin to understand that everything is connected. Every delay, every heartbreak, every lesson was leading you to this greater unfolding. And what's so beautiful about this journey is that the more you trust, the lighter it becomes. You stop obsessing over timing. You stop comparing your path to others. You stop questioning your worth. And in that surrender, you become magnetic, not just to love, but to all things aligned with your highest self. That magnetism is what draws the one in, not the perfect outfit or the flawless profile, but the energy of authenticity and truth. You become a lighthouse, radiating presence, standing in your truth, drawing in what's meant for you by simply being who you are. And the one who's meant for you, they will see that light and recognize it, not because you shine the brightest, but because your light speaks their soul's language. When that connection begins to form, it won't feel like starting from scratch. It'll feel like continuing a conversation that's been happening in your spirit all along. You'll feel safe, not because the person is perfect, but because the connection is pure. You'll feel seen, not because you've performed, but because your essence is understood. That is what divine guidance prepares you for. Not surface-level attention, but soul-deep recognition. And once you experience that, you'll never go back to forcing or chasing again. You'll understand why it didn't work with anyone else, why the timing had to be just right, why the lessons had to be learned. Because everything is clear in hindsight. Every unanswered prayer was actually protection. Every closed door was divine detour. And every lonely night was a preparation ground for the love you now feel is closer than ever. Don't doubt what your soul knows. Even if the signs seem subtle, they're enough. Even if your heart has been bruised before, it's still worthy. And even if the road has been long, it's leading somewhere sacred. Hold that truth close, keep your heart open. Trust the process, and walk with the knowing that what's meant for you is not behind you. It's ahead, waiting for you to step into it with courage, clarity, and faith. There's something powerful about the way divine guidance operates. It doesn't always shout, and it rarely arrives with all the answers. But it moves, it flows. It weaves through your everyday life in a way that starts to feel undeniable once your awareness catches up. And one of the most overlooked signs that God is guiding you to the one is how your patterns begin to shift. You stop repeating the same cycles. You begin to pause before reacting. You stop engaging with energies that lead nowhere. This shift in behavior is proof that your spirit is evolving, getting ready, being refined for something better than you've known. People often think that being led to the one is about waiting for the right person to appear. But more often, it's about becoming the right person. That doesn't mean changing who you are. It means returning to who you've always been beneath the fear, the ego, and the survival mechanisms. It's about unlearning the lies you've told yourself in past relationships. It's about healing the wounds that made you settle. It's about realigning your heart with the truth that you are worthy of a connection that honors your soul, not one that merely entertains your loneliness. When you're on the right path, you'll also notice something else. Peace becomes your compass. Not excitement, not instant sparks, not external validation. Peace, real love, feels calm. It doesn't trigger your nervous system. It doesn't leave you in confusion or guessing games. Instead, it settles you. It clarifies things. And when God begins aligning you with someone who's meant for you, one of the first feelings you'll have around them is a quiet, almost sacred sense of ease. An NTHAT ease might feel unfamiliar at first, especially if you've spent years in chaos, confusion, or codependency. You might even find yourself second-guessing it, wondering if it's too good to be true, or if the absence of drama means there's no passion. But you'll learn something crucial in this phase. Healthy love feels radically different from toxic patterns. What once felt like chemistry might have just been trauma bonds. What once felt like passion may have been the push-pull of inconsistency. And now, what you're feeling is peace. And that is a sign of divine guidance. Then, you'll also begin to notice synchronicities that go beyond surface-level moments. You'll say something and see it mirrored back in a conversation, a book, a song. You'll have a dream and then experience something similar in your waking life. These aren't mere coincidences. They're divine affirmations that you are on the right path. These signals may seem small to others, but to your spirit, they'll feel like confirmation. Pay attention to these moments. Write them down. Reflect on them. They are evidence that the unseen world is at work on your behalf. Another sign is that your environment begins to change. You may be led to move, change careers, leave a friendship, or take a leap that seems unrelated to love. But somehow, it's all connected. God often positions people through placement. Sometimes, He has to relocate you spiritually, emotionally, or even geographically to place you in proximity to the one. You may feel this urge to go somewhere new, to try something outside your comfort zone, to say yes to an opportunity that you normally would ignore. Don't dismiss those nudges. They may be leading you straight into divine alignment. And you may also feel called to reevaluate how you love, not just others, but yourself. Are you setting boundaries? Are you listening to your intuition? Are you honoring your needs without guilt? These questions become more important when God is preparing you for a sacred union, because that kind of relationship demands a higher level of self-awareness. Divine love isn't a refuge from yourself. It's a mirror. It reflects everything back to you, both light and shadow, and invites you to grow through it, not run from it. Sometimes, one of the strongest signs that you're close is a final test. You may be tempted to return to an old relationship. You may feel pressure to settle just to avoid being alone. You may cross paths with someone who seems perfect on the outside, but on the inside, your soul just doesn't resonate. These moments are not random. They're spiritual tests, designed to see if you've truly learned the lesson. If you can say no to what looks good, but doesn't feel right, you're signaling that you're ready for what is both beautiful and true. And as you walk this path, remember that love is not the goal, alignment is. Because when you're aligned, everything flows from there. Love becomes effortless, communication becomes transparent, trust becomes foundational, and presence becomes the most powerful gift you give each other. That's what makes divine relationships so rare. They're built on something deeper than physical attraction or emotional convenience. They're built on shared purpose, shared vision, and shared growth. You may not have met this person yet. You may not even know what they look like. But you can feel them, can't you? You feel the space they're going to occupy. You feel the conversations you'll one day have. You feel their energy reaching you in dreams, in daydreams, in quiet moments where your heart whispers they're close. That sense of knowing is sacred. Don't dismiss it. Let it anchor you in faith. Because faith is what carries you through the waiting. Faith is what keeps your heart open even when nothing seems to be changing. Faith is what allows you to dance with the unknown, trusting that what's meant for you will find you, not by chance, but by divine design. And when it does, you'll realize you were never waiting for love. You were being prepared for it. So, trust the signs, honor the nudges, keep becoming, keep believing. The one is being guided to you just as much as you are being guided to them. And when your paths finally cross, it won't just feel like meeting someone new. It will feel like remembering someone your soul has always known. There's a reason the journey feels so sacred. It is. What you are walking through is not ordinary. The transformation you're undergoing is not random. You are being molded, carved, and spiritually shaped into the person who can carry the weight of divine love. This isn't a love that comes and goes with the seasons. This is a love that stays. And for something that powerful to enter your life, you must be deeply rooted in who you are. The storms you're facing are not destroying you. They're strengthening your foundation for what's to come. And as you continue to tune into the signs, you may start to feel as if you're being pulled in a direction you can't fully see yet. This pull is subtle, but it's steady. It feels like guidance without a map. You can't explain it, but something inside tells you, go here, do this, say no to that. That is divine direction. And when you listen, doors begin to open, not just around you, but within you. You start seeing people differently. You start seeing yourself differently. And most importantly, you start seeing your future from a place of trust, not fear. Fear, in fact, is the greatest barrier to divine love. It whispers lies in the quietest moments. You're not ready. You'll be hurt again. You're asking for too much. But those aren't divine voices. They're echoes from the past, rooted in disappointment. And you are no longer living in that chapter. You've turned the page. And while the fear may still visit you, it no longer rules you. You can feel it and still choose love. You can acknowledge the risk and still open your heart. That's what makes you courageous. That's what makes you ready. When God is guiding you to the one, He's not promising a perfect fairy tale. He's inviting you into a spiritual partnership that refines you. One where you won't just love the person, you'll grow with them. You'll see them in their vulnerability, and they'll see you in yours. And it won't scare them. It will connect them to you even more. Divine unions are not intimidated by depth. In fact, they are drawn to it. So let go of the idea that you must hide your wounds or shrink your truth to be loved. The right person will honor every part of your story, not just the polished parts. You'll also begin to notice how divine love activates your higher self. It challenges you to rise, not in pressure, but in presence. You want to communicate better. You want to hold space more deeply. You want to grow, not because you're trying to earn their love, but because their presence inspires you to evolve. That's how you know it's real. When love calls you higher, not in exhaustion, but in grace. And yet, no matter how much inner work you do, there will still be moments of doubt. Times when you wonder if you missed the sign. Times when you ask yourself if you're just imagining things. But here's the truth. Faith is not about seeing. It's about knowing. Your spirit will know long before your mind catches up. You'll sense their presence before you even meet them. And when you finally do, it will feel like you've arrived at a place your heart has already visited. There will be comfort in their presence, even during the unknown. They'll feel like a pause in the middle of chaos, like a deep exhale after holding your breath for years, not because they're perfect, but because they're aligned. And alignment doesn't mean you'll never face challenges. It means you'll face them together. With respect, with openness, with grace. One of the most beautiful signs that you're being led to the One is how your spirit begins to release the need to prove. You stop performing. You stop over-explaining. You stop bending to fit into places that were never designed for you. You begin to stand fully in who you are, soft, open, unfiltered. And that version of you? That's the one they're looking for, not the version that has it all figured out, but the one who is real, transparent, and surrendered. And NTHAT, surrender, also means accepting that you don't have to force anything. You don't have to chase. You don't have to manipulate timelines or convince anyone of your worth. Divine connections are self-evident. They carry their own rhythm, their own frequency, their own momentum. You'll know it because it flows, even in moments of challenge. You'll know it because it doesn't require you to abandon yourself to keep it alive. Another quiet sign is how your dreams start speaking to you. You may dream of them before you meet. You may feel their energy visiting you in sleep, offering comfort or clarity. Pay attention to those dreams. Sometimes, the soul connects before the physical meeting ever takes place. The spiritual bond often precedes the tangible one, and when you trust that, you stop looking with your eyes and start listening with your heart. And isn't that the whole point of being divinely guided? To return to the wisdom of your heart, to trust that your intuition is sacred, to believe that you are not wandering aimlessly, but being led, step by step, moment by moment, toward a love that was designed with you in mind. NNSO, keep walking. Even when the path seems invisible, even when the signs feel faint, keep trusting, keep preparing, keep becoming, because when the moment comes, and it will, you'll be ready, not just for love, but for a union that reflects the depth, the wholeness, and the divine calling of your soul. And as this journey unfolds, one thing becomes clearer than ever. Not everyone will understand what you're experiencing. This connection you're being guided toward isn't always logical. It isn't built on checkboxes or what makes sense to others. It's spiritual. It's a soul assignment. And that kind of journey often sets you apart. People may question your choices, misunderstand your solitude, or even mock your hope. But that's okay. This path was never meant to be explained. It was meant to be walked. You're not here to convince anyone of your vision. You're here to honor it. That means staying true to your inner guidance, even when external voices try to lead you away from it. You'll know what's real because it won't feel forced. It won't drain you. It will expand you. And even if you can't see the entire picture yet, you'll feel enough light to keep moving forward. Another powerful confirmation that God is guiding you is that your capacity to love grows. Not just romantic love, but compassion, forgiveness, and understanding for people you once struggled with. You stop taking things so personally. You forgive people not because they apologized, but because your spirit is too expansive to carry bitterness. This is a crucial part of preparation. Divine love requires emotional maturity. It asks you to be soft in your power, firm in your boundaries, and kind in your truth. And when that transformation takes root, something beautiful begins to happen. Your heart opens wider, but your discernment becomes sharper. You can feel energy without explanation. You can sense whether someone's intentions align with love or if they're masked in confusion. You don't judge, you just trust what you feel. And this ability becomes one of the greatest gifts you carry into your divine union. Because the One won't require you to question your instincts, they'll honor them. They'll meet you in that place of spiritual sensitivity and build with you from there. Many people assume that when you meet the One, life instantly becomes easy. But divine love isn't about avoiding the storms. It's about having someone who helps you walk through them with grace. It's about choosing each other on the hard days. It's about creating safety when the world feels loud. And it's about knowing that no matter what, you have a sacred space where you are fully seen and fully accepted. This kind of connection doesn't just happen by chance. It's the result of deep spiritual preparation on both sides. While you've been healing, evolving, and growing, so have they. While you've been wondering if they even exist, they've been walking their own path, asking the same questions, receiving their own signs. And even if you've never crossed paths yet, the energy is already building. The momentum is already aligning. The magnetic pull is already in motion. When the timing is right, you'll both know. It won't feel rushed. It won't require explanation. It will simply feel right. Like two puzzle pieces finally finding where they belong, not by trying to force a fit, but by naturally locking into place. That's how you'll know this isn't just chemistry, it's destiny. One of the last and most sacred signs that God is guiding you is this. You no longer see love as a prize to earn, but as a gift to share. You stop wondering, when will they come? And start asking, how can I love deeper now? Your focus shifts from seeking to becoming, from craving to creating, from waiting for love to arriving as love. This shift is magnetic. It changes your frequency. It calls in what resonates with the version of you that's no longer trying to be loved, but simply loving in truth. And this is where the miracle begins. When you no longer chase, when you no longer prove, when you no longer beg, but instead you stand. Not with arrogance, but with spiritual certainty. You know what your heart carries. You know what your love offers. And you know that whoever is guided to receive it will be deeply, eternally blessed. This doesn't mean you'll never doubt again. It means that even in your moments of uncertainty, you'll remember what's true. You'll recall the signs. You'll reflect on the growth. You'll recognize that what you're feeling is not fantasy, it's frequency. It's your spirit recognizing something bigger than you, something orchestrated, something holy. And when you finally meet the One, truly meet them, it won't just be a romantic beginning. It will be a reunion, a rejoining of two energies that have been circling each other across time and space. And when you look into their eyes, it will feel less like, "Where have you been?" and more like, "There you are." You'll exhale. You'll soften. You'll finally understand why everything before them didn't last. It was leading you to this. NNSO. Stay open. Stay ready. Let your love be tender, but let your standards remain strong. You're not being asked to settle. You're being asked to believe. Because God is guiding you to someone who won't just hold your hand. They'll hold your heart. They won't just show up. They'll stay. They won't just say the right things. They'll live them. And that kind of love, it's rare, but it's real. And it's already being woven into your path. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not behind. You are becoming. And as you continue to trust, to grow, and to walk forward with eyes of faith, you'll begin to see what your heart has always known. Love is coming, and it will be everything your soul has waited for, and more. There's a quiet beauty in the becoming. As you look back on this journey, you may see moments that once felt meaningless now carry divine clarity. The disappointments, the delays, the detours, they weren't just obstacles. They were sacred steps. Each one brought you closer to yourself. Each one cleared space in your soul. Each one was part of God's invisible choreography, guiding you toward a love that would be different from anything you've known, not because it's flawless, but because it's real. When that love arrives, it won't demand that you shrink. It won't ask you to dim your light or explain away your intuition. Instead, it will meet you in your fullness, the version of you that's grown stronger from heartbreak, the version of you that chose healing over hiding, the version of you that trusted the signs, even when there was no physical proof. That version will be the one that receives the love you've been praying for. Because divine timing is not about convenience. It's about readiness. And readiness isn't just about having your life perfectly together. It's about having the willingness to love from a healed place, to show up with vulnerability, to listen deeply, to speak truth, even when it's uncomfortable, to support someone else's journey without losing your own. These are the cornerstones of divine union, and they cannot be rushed. You'll know the one not just by how they love you, but by how they make you love yourself. Not in an egoic way, but in a sacred one. Being around them will remind you of who you are, not who you've been pretending to be. They'll reflect your truth back to you with compassion. They'll witness your evolution with reverence. And they'll love your spirit, not for what it can give them, but for how it simply exists. Divine love has its own language. It speaks in energy, in silence, in timing. It shows up when both souls have chosen to rise. It lingers in the space between words. It grows in the soil of shared integrity. And when it blooms, it's not because either person demanded it. It's because both surrendered to something greater than themselves. And as you continue to walk forward, pay attention to how you feel in your own presence. The more peace you carry alone, the more prepared you are to share life with someone else. The more whole you become, the less likely you are to chase fragments. That inner peace is a sign you're getting closer. Because divine unions are not built by two half people trying to complete each other. They are built by two whole people choosing to walk a shared path. In fact, one of the most underestimated signs that you're nearing the arrival of the one is a deep, unshakable calm. Even if your outer world feels chaotic, there's something within you that settles. You stop feeling desperate. You stop feeling afraid. You no longer doubt whether love will come. You simply know that it's already on the way. That stillness is a sacred indicator. That's the energy of alignment. En. And when it does come, you'll feel the shift. Not because everything suddenly becomes perfect, but because everything finally feels purposeful. Even the challenges make sense. Even the waiting feels holy. Even the things you once resented now seem like blessings in disguise. That's what love rooted in divinity does. It changes how you see the past, honors your present, and gently guides you into a future that feels like home. You won't have to guess. You won't have to force. The signs you've followed, the guidance you've trusted, and the preparation you've surrendered to, all of it will converge. And in that moment, you'll understand that God wasn't just bringing someone to you. He was also bringing you back to yourself. He was aligning every part of your being to recognize and receive the love He designed just for you. NNSO, if you're reading this, and you're still wondering if it's truly happening, trust that it is. Trust that the energy you feel is real. Trust that the desire placed in your heart wasn't random. Trust that your love story is not late. It's unfolding in divine rhythm, under divine protection, and with divine intention. And if the weight ever feels heavy, come back to this truth. Love is not something you must strive for. It is something you align with. Every step you take in love, every moment you choose faith over fear, every act of integrity you hold on to, these are the things that draw the one closer NNNOT by chasing. Not by demanding, but by becoming NN. Because when God is guiding you, love doesn't need to be chased. It arrives exactly when your soul is ready to receive it.